Hey guys, what's happening? Welcome to the United Talk. I'm sitting on my terrace today because the weather up here is simply amazing. So I thought, why not make a video? There might be a sound, an odd sound from here and there, but please bear with me. We have to talk about a lot of things today. We have to talk about Jadon Sancho, of course. We have to talk about Sergio Reguilon. We have to talk about Chris Smalling and then Gareth Bale, uh, Douglas Costa. We have to talk about Ivan Perisic, Thiago, David Alaba. So many things to discuss, so let's just get right into it. We start with Sergio Reguilon because last 2 days worth of development, and he's going to Tottenham Hotspur. And look, I'm not disappointed with this because I think the fact that Real Madrid wanted a buyback clause in this deal was a put off for me because I mean you buy Sergio Reguilon right now for 30 million, and then within 2 years, next year or next year, Real Madrid will come back and say here's 40 million, give us Sergio Reguilon back. It's a buyback clause, and which is something that you don't do at Manchester United, do you? And Tottenham were okay doing with it because I think it's because of Jose Mourinho. And Fabrizio Romano came out in his podcast yesterday and said Mourinho did have a word with Reguilon. So I think I'm okay with this deal not going through because of that clause, and I didn't want Real Madrid to insert that clause in his contract anyway. But the thing that pisses me off is basically the fact that United didn't want to pay 30 million for Reguilon. They wanted to pay 20 million plus add-ons for Reguilon, and this is what pisses me off because he's 23 years of age. He's a very very good left back, and he is worth that money. Why can't we realize that? Why can't we recognize that? And we have to negotiate each and every deal. Because now, you know what? I'm not saying that doesn't happen. It does happen. I mean, look at what Roma is doing with Smalling. They offered to pay 13 million euros for Smalling, 13, and the fact that United rejected this is something that I again agree with it because Smalling for me is worth 15 million pounds, which is 20 million euros. Now, I mean, Roma might disagree with me, and why will they agree with me? But I think the fact that every club tries to do it is not new. The thing that pisses me off, like I was saying before, is that you either do it quickly or you don't do it at all. I understand that the deals like Jadon Sancho take a lot of time, but then Regulion, 30 million euros is not too much of a money. You can't keep negotiating for every player for weeks and weeks because then you will never end up achieving all your targets in one transfer window. I mean, if you negotiate with Real Madrid regarding Sergio Regulion for 2 or 3 weeks, that's 3 weeks gone. It's literally gone because we also don't do more than one deal at a time. So that's something that just pisses me off. I mean, he's worth it. You know he's worth it. Just pay the money and get the guy. If the release clause is not into the picture or the buyback clause. Also, with that buyback clause, I think they have inserted a right to first refusal clause because if for example Barcelona come up and say we'll pay 50 million for Regulion, Tottenham Hotspur have to call Real Madrid and say, will you want do you want to match the bid that Barcelona have put in? So I think the clauses were kind of the stumbling block in this deal with United. The player wanted to come to United, but again, this saga kept running for what, 10 days? I mean, 2 weeks, right? For no reason. I mean, he's not that expensive. Why run it for 2 weeks? Just say to Real Madrid, here's 30 million, here's the bid. We don't want any clauses in the deal. Accept it or reject it. That's it. We've talked to the player. He wants to come. We want the player. It's either done or it's either not done. So I think that way we just take a lot of time, and it's not a news, but I think it's just every time you see this happening with any player which is being linked with us and any player that we want to have at a club, you just get irritated, don't you? But just let's just move on from Reguilon because he's going to Tottenham and it's not going to happen. So let's just move on. There's no point wasting time about it. Let's talk about other players. And I talked about Chris Smalling and how Roma is doing the same thing with us now. That I mean, they're still interested in buying Chris Smalling, but I don't think they want to pay 20 million euros for Chris Smalling. So let's see what happens there. There's talk about interest from Inter as well, but I think Inter wants to do a barter deal with offering a few players. Like they could offer Ivan Perisic, they could offer Brozovic, they could also offer João Mario, the Portuguese midfielder. And honestly, I don't want any of them. So again, why would United do that deal? Because we have a lot of midfielders, and if there's any midfielder that I would want at the club right now, it would be Thiago, not all these players. So uh, it doesn't make any sense for them to do it. But their interest in Smalling, let's see how much time it takes. I think Smalling will leave this summer, but let's see how much time it takes. But I think let's move on from Smalling and let's talk about Jadon Sancho, the infamous Jadon Sancho deal of the summer, right? Uh, It's clear, right? It's been clear since the beginning. 120 million euros, 108 million pounds, or nothing. That's been the stance. It will be the stance. I mean, you cannot change it. I don't know why we keep. I mean, we keep discussing it as well because we have to. But I think from United's point of view, it just doesn't make any sense for them to not do the deal before the first match of the season because they think that they can get Borussia Dortmund to lower the price, but it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen. They have 3 years remaining on the player's contract. They don't need to sell. The player will not go on strike regarding this. So why? I mean, Borussia Dortmund have their right to not lower the price. And tell you what, he is worth 108 million pounds, because we did pay 80 million pounds for Harry Maguire, didn't we? We paid 50 million pounds for Alman Bissaka. So I think if 80 million we paid for Harry Maguire, this kid is 7 years younger. He can be. There's no direct comparison between the two because they play in very different positions and they're two very different players. But I think you pay 80 million for Harry Maguire, you do know that it's worth paying for Jadon Sancho that much money. And next year, you're not going to get Jadon Sancho next year because exactly what happened with Regulion, we kept negotiating for 2 weeks, right? It's not a long time, but it's not that big a deal as well, right? The deal was for just 30 million. You keep negotiating a deal, someone like a Tottenham Hotspur will come into the picture, steal the deal in 2 days. I mean, it was 2 days for Tottenham express an interest. They bid 30 million. They bid 30 million straight away. They got the bid accepted. They talked to the player. They convinced the player to come to Tottenham and play Europa League football instead of playing Champions League football with Manchester United. I mean, it can be done, but we can't do it. Every other club can do it, and we can't do it. I think that's the sole reason why next year we will not get Jadon Sancho because any other club will come in. We'll keep negotiating with Dortmund. We'll say you have 2 years remaining on his contract. We'll not pay 100 million. We'll pay 90 million for him, and Real Madrid might come in. Chelsea might come in. Liverpool might come in if they have the money next year. Any of these clubs might come in. Barcelona might come in and say, here's 108 million, give me Jadon Sancho. And he'll go there. He will go there. So I think in that respect, we're not going to get Jadon Sancho next summer. It's now or never. Uh, I still feel we might just end up getting him because we're too far into this deal to not get it done. I mean, we've been talking to Jadon Sancho's representatives and Borussia Dortmund since how long now? It's been months easily. So I mean, we're too deep into this to not get this done. But it's just frustrating, isn't it? Because you can get this deal done, and you know that when the transfer window ends, the stance of Borussia Dortmund is not going to change. So you do know that you need to pay that much money. I don't know why we haven't done it. There were alternatives mentioned for Jadon Sancho as well by Fabrizio Romano, and he said that United were never in for Gareth Bale, which was music to my ears, honestly. Because Gareth Bale, 31, golf player. I mean, we got rid of a piano player right now. Why would you want a golf player now? So, and he's on more wages than Alexis Sanchez. He's on 600,000 pounds a week. 600,000 pounds a week, or euros. Euros, my bad. That's too much money. That's really too much money. So United were never interested in Bale. Sorry. Uh, Ivan Perisic was mentioned, and Ivan Perisic actually has been offered to Manchester United, and United are saying we'll wait on it. He's not a priority, so we're not going to do anything right now. Let's see what happens when the transfer window ends. Sorry. The third would be Douglas Costa. Now, I think United, again, music to my ears. They are not interested in signing Douglas Costa, according to Fabrizio Romano, because his injury record. I mean, he on the podcast, if you hear the podcast, Fabrizio Romano says that he has more injuries than the number of matches he plays per season. Can you believe that? It's an Italian journalist talking about a player who plays in the Italian league and saying he has more injuries every season than the matches he plays, which is ridiculous. And I think exactly why United should not go anywhere near Douglas Costa. But they are not interested in him, so that's good to know. So the priority target still remains Jadon Sancho. There are no alternatives discussed. I mean, in the end, if we don't end up getting Sancho, we will look for a loan of, let's say, someone like an Ivan Perisic. But I think we should get Jadon Sancho. That's my gut feeling. But I might be wrong because I don't have any inside news apart from what these journalists say. So let's see what happens with Jadon Sancho. But let's move on from this and now talk about Thiago. And it's been quiet on Thiago since a long time now, right? And I think Liverpool are talking to Wijnaldum to extend his contract. Barcelona needs to sell players according to La Liga rules. They need to sell players first before they buy players. So the first player they're going to sell Barcelona, they're going to get Memphis Depay in. So I don't think they're in for Thiago. I think they will prefer Wijnaldum over Thiago. And if Wijnaldum signs a new contract with Liverpool, then Thiago might just be free to move to another club, because I think Liverpool, the situation with Liverpool is pretty different. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm sure that they don't want to spend 30 million euros on Thiago, because it's been again told by many journalists, right? So if they don't want to spend 30 million on Thiago, and if they don't end up selling Wijnaldum, then Thiago becomes available, and then I think Manchester United might do business with Bayern Munich. Again, it's a part of a growing frustration. What are you waiting for? Either you want Thiago or you don't want Thiago, and it depends upon how much money you have. You know that you need to pay 108 million pounds for Jadon Sancho. Now you might not need to pay all of that money upfront. You might end up paying 80 million upfront this summer. So you've paid 35 million already to Ajax, 80 million, let's say, to Borussia Dortmund, and you have spent 115 million pounds this summer already. Either you have the money to do the Thiago deal, or you don't have the money to do the Thiago deal. But then come to a conclusion and get it done. Why wait? Because it's not gonna be. I mean, they will hardly end up saving. If they end up saving, they will hardly end up saving a couple of millions on both these deals, because Dortmund are not gonna budge, and neither will Bayern Munich. So I mean, how much money are you gonna save really? It doesn't make any sense. And to top that, we were in the market for a left back in Regulion. Alex Telles has been mentioned. David Alaba has 1 year remaining on his contract, and he is open to leaving Bayern Munich as well. David Alaba is left-footed, plays as a left, can play as a left back, can play as a left centre back. Fits perfectly for what Manchester United want. A leader at the back, someone who's very good, someone who's fast, a quality defender, can cover multiple positions, can be a cover for Luke Shaw, can be a cover at the left centre back area as well. It's perfect for what we need. Why are we not going in for him? I mean, if you're talking to Bayern Munich and you just end up telling them, look, we want both these players, Thiago and David Alaba, we'll pay you 60 million. Get about these players. I know it's easier saying than getting it done, but I mean, you need to have thinking like how Chelsea has, because Chelsea, in all these situations, and you look at what the business that they have done this summer, and they're still not done. After getting this goalkeeper Mendy, they're gonna go and try for Declan Rice, and meanwhile they're trying to sell players as well. I think Bakayoko is gonna go to, I think, AC Milan, if I'm not wrong. So you need to have this foresight, like Chelsea has shown this summer, to get all these deals done. But we don't really have that, so I think there's no point getting our expectations high, is it? I mean, there's no point. And to add to that, I think there were rumors about Sergio Romero leaving the club and going to Aston Villa, right? Because one goalkeeper has to leave. We have too many good goalkeepers at this club. We have De Gea, we have Henderson, we have Romero, and then we have Lee Grant, and then we have others as well. So you need to sell at least one goalkeeper this summer. And it looks like it will be Romero, and Aston Villa wanted Romero. There were rumors about it. And in the end, Aston Villa ended up buying this goalkeeper from Arsenal, Martinez, right, who was covering for Bert Leno last season. They paid 20 million euros for him. 20 million euros for that goalkeeper. You're telling me that we couldn't have done that deal with Aston Villa to sell him for 10 million euros? Of course, we would have done that. I mean, I would have taken 5 million for Romero. I mean, he's a good goalkeeper. I'm not trying to put his value down or anything. But what I'm saying is, you need to get rid of players because you have better players in that position. So you need to get rid of them. But again, it's the same thing. What are we doing this transfer window? Even do we even have a plan? Like, we're gonna sell these players, we're gonna keep Henderson. Like, they knew they wanted to keep Henderson, didn't they? So then they knew that they have to sell one of the goalkeepers. What's the plan? Where is the plan? They're playing a first match of the season in 3 days' time, right? Where is the plan? It's just, I mean, I think it's one of the worst transfer windows that summer transfer windows that we've seen from Manchester United in the past few years, in terms of planning, because it's just. I mean, look, I'm going to give a shout out to the United Stand, this community, Manchester United fans. There were a lot of followers, and I really like that community, because I think a lot of opinion is just an opinion. It's never forced upon on anybody, and I think I follow them, right? And there's this guy on the show named KG. About a couple of days ago, he was discussing about how if we don't get our signings that we need, that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer needs this season, we should all boycott Glazers, and there are various ways of doing it. I think one thing that he suggested was, let's just unfollow all the social media accounts, uninstall all the apps as soon as we hit the 5th October mark when the transfer window closes, because that's going to make sure that the investors are going to take notice, right? And then things might change. I mean, it might just send a message to the Glazers that we are against you. We don't like the way you work. But the problem is, and again, this was discussed on the United Stand community, is that the United fan base is not united, right? And I know that this channel only has a few viewers and few subscribers right now, but I think I would agree with them because I've seen a lot of United fans who have. I mean, look, there's always going to be a difference of opinion, and it's actually encouraged to have different opinions because that's what a fan opinion channel is, which is all these channels, including ours. The thing is, in the end, we all want same thing. We all want Manchester United to do well. That's the end target, right? So it doesn't matter what your opinion is, and doesn't matter what my opinion is. In the end, we all will stand together because we want United to win the Premier League and win the Champions League again, right? So if that's the case, why can't we come together and decide on something? Why can't we unite? If we don't get the transfers that we want or we need this summer, we need to do something. And I agree with that guy KG that we should do this mass unfollowing on social media handles because it's going to be first of all peaceful. Because I don't agree with violence like what happened in January at Woodward's house. And then it's going to send a message. It's going to send a message because they do look at these social media numbers in the board meeting. So I think that could be one way of doing it. But again, is it really going to happen? If it's going to happen, who's going to lead it? So it's time that if the board doesn't show enough ambition this summer, I think there's something needs to be done. But it remains to be seen what and who will lead this. So stay tuned. I think I'm also going to do a Premier League predictions video, which I wanted to do last week, but I mean, I couldn't do it. I know one game week is done, and I mean, you can't really predict after one game week anything that who's going to win and who's not going to win. But I think as far as predictions go, I'm going to do one video anyway. Let's hope we get some kind of conclusion regarding this Jadon Sancho deal. At least get Jadon Sancho, but we still need a defender. We still need a left-sided defender. Who I mean, we need someone. Just get someone. I mean, I'm that frustrated now. I would not take any piss off player. I would not take like a third or fourth priority signing. I mean, we are Manchester United. We should go for a number one priority signing, right? But Van de Beek wasn't number one, and he's still a very good player. We all know that we wanted Grealish, but he was priced out of a move by Aston Villa. So I think it's just wait and watch now. I mean, Premier League is starting. All I want for United is to do well, win the first two games against Brighton and against Crystal Palace and Brighton, and let's see what happens. So I'll talk to you soon.